Hi Greedy 3Ders. Now speed paints really do live up to their name. They are really quick to use. I made this in just over an hour. I'll show you how I did it. Stay tuned. So I paid 80 quid from Amazon. They've dropped the price to 74 quid, but for 80 quid that I paid for 24 paints, that works out to £3.33 per paint, which isn't bad at all. And here they are in my hand now. You still get excited about opening paints when you're into these kind of things, don't you? Those are all the colours on the back. Inside the box, this is what you'll find. There's a nifty little how to paint book with all sorts of information in. And the paints, and they're not laid out properly, they're not laid out carefully, they're just bundled into the box with a wonderful little paint brush that you can use to apply them. Now today we're going to be making the creature from the Black Lagoon, which is a sculpt by Wicked. And to start this model I'm going to do a little bit of a slap and tickle, no not slap and tickle, a slap chop method. It's already been primed with some black primer from Citadel, and I'm using some Dungeon Highlights as the first coat. It's grey. Any old dark grey will do. We're not going to be too picky about this. Get yourself a nice big dry brush, get the brush filled with paint, and then get around about 90% of that paint off. With the slap chop method, we're going to striate the model. We're going to highlight it and low light it. We're going to work on the fact that the grey initially, and we're going to add a white a little bit later, we'll put different shades of colour into the model, and that will help the speed paint do its magic, because the speed paint is a one coat solution that will look darker in the dark areas, look lighter in the light areas. It's like having a base and a shade and a specialist paint all in one. So nice thick dry brush and do the whole model. Just do everything. Make sure as well when you're doing your dry brushing that you don't put too much paint on your brush. You want most of it off so that the inner parts of your model will remain dark and black, and the outer parts of your model get that grey coat. Just have some fun, pop some music on and give it a blast all the way across. And once you've done your first layer, this is what it looks like. Now you need to dry it. I dried it with a hairdryer, or leave it to dry normally, but make sure you let it dry before you take a white paint. I'm using Dungeon Effects, but any old white paint will do. So same technique. Now I've used a nice clean brush, and it's a dry brush technique again, so load the brush, get it all off. And what we want to do with the white is not cover the whole model. We want to add just to the outer layers, just to the outer surfaces. So a very, very light approach, because I don't want to change all the grey to white. I just want to give the outer edges, the bits that stick out the most, a coat of that white. So do that, go across it. The features that are going to stick out, make sure you get them, like I've done his nails, the backs of his hands. I've had a look at his lips and his eyebrows, and I'm going to make sure I get the top of the scales, etc. And when it's all done, this is what it looks like. So there you've got the black, the grey and the white all in, and that's your slap chop done. Now we're going to move on to speed paint, some Shamrock Green. With the speed paints, make sure you shake them really, really well. Use a hard palette, not a wet palette, and take a nice big brush if you're going to do a big area like I'm doing here on Old Lagoony. Get your brush loaded and just paint away. You probably need a bit more paint than that. That's better. Greedy. Right, get that paint on there. And what you can start to see to happen with the speed paint is where the lighter areas are, where the white is, you'll get a higher shade of green. Where the areas are darkened and blackened, which would be where the shadows are if you've dry brushed it, you'll get a darker shade of green. And literally just load your brush up. You don't have to be too careful, and splot it on there and move the paint around. Get it into the nooks, get it into the crannies, get it into all the little recesses, and the paint will do its own thing. And you can already see there we've got some darker areas and some lighter areas. Don't be afraid of it, just get it over there. I'm doing a big model and he's going to have a whole layer of green, so this one's relatively easy. If you're doing a smaller model with smaller areas, just take your time a little bit, but for me, lather it on there. I'm going to be a little bit careful around his feet because I don't want any of that green to go onto the base bits. And there we go. That took about 15 minutes to get it on. And look at the different colours. You can see exactly what I'm saying with the dark greens, the mid-range and the light greens. Now, some Grave Lord Grey. And all I'm going to do with this is paint the kind of hard surface area that he's standing on. Not the whole thing, just you can see the ripples. It looks like a little bit of stone of some kind. And I'm just going to give that exactly the same technique all the way across before Tidal Wave is next to paint the water effects. All I want to do here really is highlight and show you the speed paints working, and I just want to make sure I use as many as I can here just to show you them and how they work and what you can expect when you put them on and how blinking easy they are. Zealot Yellow is the next one, and all I'm going to do with this Zealot Yellow is I'm going to go over the green. Now you can do that, you don't have to stick to one colour, you can mix the two in the palette if you want, but what I want here is I just want to change some of the coloration of his skin. I want to add a little bit more variance, I want to add a little bit more interest, so I'm going to pop some on, I'm going to use the brush and I'm going to move it around. I'm concentrating on that midsection, as in the reference pictures that looked a little bit of a yellowy colour, so move that paint around in that section. And what I'm also going to do is concentrate on other areas. I'm not going to cover him completely because I don't want to do that, but the backs of his hands, on his arms, on a few areas around him, his shoulders, just in a few areas that I just want to do. And I'm just using artistic license here. I'm just going to splat a bit of this yellow over the green, and we're going to get a real different colour, as you'll see in a little while. When the paint starts to run out, I'm just going to do the top of his head because I don't want that to be too different, and he's done. And those are the difference in colours that you can see. It just adds to it. Again, dry it with a hairdryer or leave it to dry naturally. Now I'm taking some skeleton bone. This is, of course, isn't a speed paint, and all I'm going to do with this is pop it onto a dry brush again, get the majority of it off, about 90% of that paint off, and I'm going to use this clear paint to go over, to dry brush over some of the outer areas of him. Now you can use skeleton bone, skeleton horde, there's all sorts of colours you can use. I just want a light creamy kind of colour, and I love skeleton bone. It's one of my favourite colours. It's so useful. You can do all sorts of things with it. Deck Tan, I believe, is another one you can use. But again, just go over some of the highlighted areas. Not too thick. I just want to dry brush it over there. Get it right the way across him. The outer edges of his scales now, I just want to make them look even shinier. I don't want to ruin all my speed paint work, but I do just want to add another area of dry brushing. And dry brushing is a wonderful, wonderful technique, and you'll be amazed at the end result what a bit of dry brushing will do to your model. So again, not too much, not too thick, get it all the way across him, and you can see now, look at all the different colours in him. There's loads of colours, and I haven't done that much work on it, and that's what he looks like when he's all dry brushed up with the skeleton bone. Wonderful, really happy with how old Lagoon here is coming on. Now if we look at the reference pictures, his lips are quite red, and I'm going to come back to those with that dry brush, and I'm going to do over the base as well just to give it a little bit more of an exaggeration. But just going back to his lips, I need his lips to be a nice bright colour to start with, so I'm just going to dry brush that skeleton bone over those before I take some more speed paint, and this time I'm using their red colour, which is the Slaughter Red, and I'm going to pop it on. Now in the reference pictures it looks like he's going out for a night on the town because his lips are really, really red, probably a little bit too red, but I'm going to paint it on there. As you can see, I want to follow the reference as much as I can, and the red is quite a stark contrast to the green, and I'm using a little bit of skeleton bone in for his eyes as well, as you can see, just to base them, because I'm going to do a bit more work on those in a bit. I'm going to get all his nails and give them a coat of the skeleton bone. I want to bring them back up to a very light colour before I take the Zealot Yellow and use that to paint the middle parts of his eyes, the yellow with the white bits of his eyes. I want to give them a layer of that, and they'll look yellow and they'll look red. And then I'm going to take some pallid bone and I'm going to do all the nails. This pallid bone is great for nails and it's great for teeth. It gives them that yellowy kind of hasn't seen a dentist look. Then some Vallejo liquid gloss just to cover all the water effects, and that's it. It's done. So I've pretty much finished this model now. Now what I could do if I wanted to is add a dark wash all over it just to make him look a little bit darker. But once that Vallejo's on for me, I'm going to stop there just to show you what you can do. You can take it to town. And there he is. He's all finished. He's all done. What do you think of the colours? Leave it. Tell me in the comments. Do you like the colours? Do you like the striation? Do you think I could have done more? but I just wanted to show you how easy the speed paints are to use, and I'm really pleased with how he has come out there. As I say, you can do as much work as you want. Now, the other thing I didn't do with this model, and I cheated a little bit, but you know what, I'm absolutely fine with that. There are some marks where the supports came off, and rather than get them off, I actually left them on because they look like little barnacles on his back, little marks, little pits. And I thought, for his skin, for what we're making here, I'm absolutely fine with that. So don't think I didn't see the supports on him, because I did, but I wanted to make them look like there's little bits on his back, and there you can see them there. They work on this model. Of course, they don't work on most models. And there you go, speed paints used. They're easy, they're quick, they are simple, and they will do a fantastic job. Now, this wasn't the longest job in the world, but I just wanted to show you them working, and I just wanted you to see what you can achieve relatively easily with not very much time at all using the Speed Paint version 2. I'm always amazed how quick speed paints can do the job, and I've used them before many times, and I tend to use them in most models to some degree or other, but I've never really used them on the whole to make one complete model like I've done here. And it took me just less than an hour to go from a primed model to a finished model using, I'd say, 99% speed paints with the odd bit of skeleton bone thrown in as well. I hope you found that useful. If you want to get hold of some speed paints, I'll put some links in the description down below. You can get them from the UK Amazon ones. The Amazon ones in the UK will be affiliate links, the ones everywhere else won't be. But have a little look. We're coming up to the Christmas sale, see if you can get them for a better price, but I'll just show you the ones that I used down below in the description. If you like what you see today, please subscribe to Greedy 3D. It's quick, it's simple, it's one little click, and you can support the channel that way. If you want to join the Greedy 3D Patreon, you can also do that, and all the details will be down below. And I just want to say thank you to my patrons for your support constantly. You guys are really helpful and supportive, and thank you for making this channel possible. If you want to get the speed paints, as I say, there'll be an affiliate link for UK down below from Amazon. If you want to buy them anywhere else in the world, there's no affiliate link there, but you can see which ones I've got, and I think that's the important thing. I don't mind if you use my link or not, I'm not bothered. If you do, a little bit will kick back to me, of course it will. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. I'm not doing it to make money from your own affiliate links. I'm doing it to show you what I do and how I do it, and hopefully you enjoy that content. I will see you real soon, Greedy 3Ds. I don't know what we're going to be doing next time, but stay tuned.